Hey, Bigpod,
What?
did you know that the last time I used Skype was for a job interview 9.5 years ago?
Wow.
I had to log in. I installed Skype and I logged into it for like the first time this morning and said, "Hey, this is the first time you logged in 9.5 years. Would you like to update your password?" I did in fact update my password, and I looked up like those old chat logs from like way back in the day. And I'm like, man, that was a very different age.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to No Talks Allowed. I am your host Josh, who is slowly growing a beard to be just like his co-host here, Bigpod.
Hi.
And honestly, it's because I've been a little lax on the shaving. I broke my razor, so I need to get a new one.
I've been way too lax on the shaving.
Yeah. Well, what happened is that I use an old-fashioned safety razor, right? And this was one of those cheap ones that I bought because it was like $10, and I'm like, yeah, this is fine. It'll last me the rest of my life. It's fine. Well, I broke the threaded bit off the end of it.
I think
so.
I might be using the same kind of thing. The one that you open the top up and you have double-sided razor.
Yep, that's the kind.
Yeah.
Well, I broke the threaded end on it. So I've been without the ability to shave here for a week now because I've been too lazy to go to the dollar store and buy a new one.
This kind of thing in the Discord.
Yep, that kind exactly.
I also use that kind of thing. I have three of those kind.
Anyways, I have a distro report.
Really?
This installation of Debian has lasted me since Valentine's Day, so that's February 14th. It is currently March 1st, which means that I have been able to go for longer than 2 weeks on a distro. So I'm certain that there's somebody out there who thinks I'm a distro hopper. That this is my proof that I'm not hopping distros every other day.
Well, if you have a first date on Valentine, marriage isn't that far away. So
that's true.
Maybe that distro is forever distro, or he might get divorced.
It might be the forever distro, because I have a reminder when I installed it, and I have a Firefox calendar notification pre-configured to remind me to not reinstall the operating system. It fires every 2 weeks. I got that notification earlier during the pre-show. which is how I remembered to check. So, anyways, we got some big news this week. The biggest kind of news for like anybody that has used the internet for longer than 10 years. Because today, a one-time, very critical piece of software for anybody that used the internet, and when I say anybody, I really mean like anybody, has announced that it's going to shut down, and that is Skype.
After 21 years, or more than 21 years of operating, Skype will soon shut down.
Yeah, now the reason why I say that was one-time critical was because Skype was like one of the very first consumer-facing applications that supported video calling and voice chat over the internet.
Yeah.
It wasn't the very first one to handle text-based communication. That was IRC. But Skype was the first one to popularize the video call. In fact, it was so critical at one point in time that like, if you were getting a job interview, or like if you were doing like any kind of work from home kind of work, you probably had to have Skype on your system. In fact, when I was working at Honda not that long ago, Honda was still using Skype for like their enterprise communications.
Wow.
Even though they also had Teams, but they just used them both for some stupid reason.
Wait, they weren't like every big company Cisco WebEx shop.
Nope. It's Teams top to bottom. Teams and Observer. And by the way, Honda.com is running on a Gen 2 server. In the event you didn't know. I had to ask.
Well, and I remember the days of when Skype was how I connected with my classmates while we played Call of Duty.
Yeah, so I logged into Skype this morning when I saw this article. And I had to and I scrolled through like those old chats. And my goodness. That those unfiltered conversations that you had no fears of any kind of automated moderation or anything like that. It was a different time. And
Oh wow.
I scrolled through the conversations. It's like I don't even remember this person I was talking to, but apparently I knew them pretty well because we were sharing some like interactions that we had back when we were going through school because I wasn't on Skype until like I was going through college, so
I'm gonna say that I just opened up Skype.com and it automatically logged me in because I'm using the same Hotmail account I used back in the day, and just by the name and the picture, it was kinda, oh, I was a different person back then.
yeah, different age, different people. My Skype profile picture name shows me with a full head of hair.
Oh look,
That's how long ago it was.
Skype Snap application. Great.
Well, anyways, Microsoft came out and said that Skype is shutting down on May 5th, 2025. And, I'm not sad to see it go. I honestly think that it's fine for Skype to finally say, for us to finally say goodbye to Skype. It served its purpose. It still serves a purpose for like people that actually use it. Because to my understanding, it's actually still a fairly alright client.
Yes.
But
it is.
at the same time, I don't see why Microsoft would maintain Skype when, they also have Teams, which, they're pre-installing Teams on your Windows installation. So, yeah, it's fine. And, maybe we should record the next episode using Skype, Bigpod, just for the sake of memories. The Linux app still works. Which, is better than what we could say about Skype on Linux.
And web app
10 years
still
ago?
works.
Yeah.
Wow, like I'm like looking at my old conversation. Like the last one I had was 2017.
What was I doing in 2017? Let's see. I was working at the first plastics place. This was before I owned one. I had a YouTube channel back then too, because my YouTube channel is surprisingly old, but I don't know if I have any content from 2017.
Well, I was playing Call of Duty with my classmates.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was that the year where I was posting like the Monster Hunter videos? Let's see. Let's pull up the YouTube studio here and let's do a quick scroll. Let's see.
I have so old that it doesn't even know anymore what the name of the group was.
Right. This was when I was posting Magic the Gathering content on my YouTube channel because I was that kind of channel before like the channel that I have now. You can't audit these videos because I set them all to private because copyright algorithm reasons. But it's it's interesting because Skype was bundled with Windows 10, and
Yeah,
in earlier versions of Windows 11, it was also pre-installed. So I wonder if
yeah.
it's still in like modern versions of Windows where it comes with an installation. Maybe one of these days when I'm able to successfully download the Windows image from Microsoft, I can verify.
I don't think it's coming anymore with Windows, but I could be wrong.
I mean, it was one of the first things I always uninstalled when I was working on Windows installation that I was allowed to uninstall software from. Just like, I don't need Skype. That's just wasting bandwidth. Because, I used DSL internet back then, and Skype really did use that much bandwidth even when you weren't logged into it.
I should probably stop reading this because half the people I'm seeing I don't even know who they are.
Right?
I don't even know that I didn't even knew that I knew this many girls back then.
Oh. Well, that's the
Which
life of a Linux user.
which really tells a lot.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Bigpod, I need you to close that tab so we can move on here. But, I'm curious, listener. Do you still use Skype? If you do, send us an email. Oh, anyways, Bigpod, have you ever helped a company manage a fairly prominent website from one host to another?
No, never had to
What
do
about
that, thankfully.
what about migrating, say, like your home lab from one system to another?
That I had to do, yes.
Okay. Well, the Free Desktop project has created an issue detailing their migration plans for leaving Equinix Metal and moving to Hetzner.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, if you don't know who Hetzner is like a VPS service, sort of like your
Yes.
Linode, your DigitalOceans, or if you want to be more enterprise, your AWS or your Microsoft Azure.
Or
But
GCP.
yeah.
I
So
hate you.
that's basically what Hetzner is, and they're talking about like setting up. They have the pre-migration plans, the actual migration plans, and then talking about like some of the challenges they may or may not face during that entire time. And let me get this cat off my desk here. Okay, so the very first thing is that they want to deploy a new K8s cluster on Hetzner. So they're using Kubernetes. Okay.
Yes.
And they want to prepare the connection from Fastly CDN to Hetzner. So, because, they kind of need that CDN. They're
Yeah.
a pretty big project. And then they want to migrate the S3 data from Equinix to Hetzner S3 and Fastly S3. And then deploy a test GitLab instance with a test Indico instance. And a test S3 proxy with OPA for replacing s3.freedesktop.org. So that's what they want to do before the actual migration. But during the actual migration, they're going to shut down the GitLab. They're going to shut down everything basically, and run an offline backup. Which, hey, that's pretty smart. That's pretty smart. You should probably have a backup. And if you're going to be going through a big migration like this, doubly so.
Yes.
And then back up the Kubernetes secrets separately. And then just restore everything to Hetzner. Deduplicate the database. And then connect Fastly to Hetzner and then turn it all on and hope and pray that it works.
Yes. I cannot wait for when we have to do the migration stuff. It's gonna be
I hope
a blast.
that we never actually have to migrate. We just have to figure out how to deploy to scale.
Yes. Which will essentially be migration at that point, because nothing in our environment is really made to scale.
Well, you see, we could do it like the way that it came out with Docker. We can do we're currently using a single instance of Docker to manage the show, and then we can
Yes.
hook up Docker Swarm and then deploy it over geolocated VPSs throughout the world. Because we have listeners in Europe that wouldn't mind a fast download speed for our episodes, or
We have that already handled by the fact that we're using one of the biggest and most powerful CDNs in the world, Cloudflare. Our
That is
bigger
true.
problems is that if we want to scale our system, our bottleneck will be a database, which is essentially on one of the nodes that already handles the data, like that single node. So that will have
Oh,
to
yeah.
be migrated, which is a whole pain in the ass.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I'm just the guy that pays for it. That's not my problem.
Yeah, it's my problem. I'm the senior technical guy.
Well, maybe by then we'll have enough liquid cash that we can just pay somebody else to migrate the database for us.
So give me a worker. Yes, good.
Yeah. Make it Steve's problem, or I'll hire a guy and make sure that his name is actually Tony. That way I can say fix it again, Tony, and have it be relevant and not a joke about fiats. Because databases, when they go to scale, they tend to break quite often,
Yeah.
for at least the first little bit. But so Hetzner's an interesting choice, right, Bigpod?
Yeah.
Because Hetzner has had some problems.
Yeah.
For one thing, if you look at like what a lot of the self-hosting community has been working with when it comes to VPSs, they typically deploy on Hetzner because Hetzner is probably the cheapest VPS service for like what they're
Yes.
looking to do.
Because of their basically their service of auctions, where you can basically put random systems which either they have too much of or in some other way are not to be sold like part of their standard fleets, is they're put on auction, and those systems get really cheap. But there are other problems with Hetzner, like their IPs do tend to get all kinds of banned by many services.
Yeah, like the most prominent in recent news has been Plex,
Yes.
the media server service. They have just straight up banned all IP addresses pointing to Hetzner.
I've seen many services ban Hetzner IPs for their APIs, because a lot of also bad threat actors also use Hetzner because of that price
cheap.
point.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and it's really hard for someone like basically anybody to distinguish between a threat actor and a normal user on Hetzner, because all they see is an IP address.
Yeah. That said, I think ultimately, from the perspective of Hetzner in that space, the free desktop project moving to Hetzner probably a good thing, because there is so much that the free desktop project handles.
Yeah.
Just for like enterprise servers, that this could be a good thing. And it's also just like a good test of like is how good Hetzner could be for like the enterprise as well.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, they're not really huge in like the enterprise market. I might be wrong on that, but for the most part, they don't seem to be. Or at least they don't
probably
actively talk
are
about
if they
it.
have a lot of users and all that. They probably are quite big in the enterprise, or at least small to medium scale business, if not enterprise.
Yeah. But that's just interesting to look at, and of course, when the migration comes around later this month, I'm gonna be watching it because I'd be curious. That said, I have no real plans on moving to Headstone myself anytime soon. I've been a happy Linode customer forever.
And I've been happy
So-
Azure user for a while now, so no plans to move to Hetzner either.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to watch, nonetheless. And I hope that I added myself to the freedesktop.org mailing list just so I can watch this too, just to watch it. So we'll see what conversations come out from
And
this.
let's not forget that both of us are very happy AWS mail users, so email us down below.
Yeah, send us an email. Our email service does in fact work.
Yes.
It does. We received an email just the other day.
Yeah.
And it was one of those many scam emails saying that they can add some SEO to our YouTube channel and make our YouTube channel blow up because they love our content.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one of those. None of them have still been able to prove to me that they're willing, or at least been willing to prove to me that they're human. But of course, Bigpod, I know that you're a happy Edge user, and you've probably played around with Firefox every now and again.
I used to be a happy Firefox user, not that long ago, couple of years back.
Yeah, now, did you know that Firefox has decided that they're going to update and add a consumer privacy policy?
Yeah, I heard of that. And it was
And
horrible.
they're introducing a terms of use as well for Firefox,
Yeah.
which is new. So, this drew criticism, right?
Yeah.
Because Firefox has never had terms of use prior to February 28th. So, quite literally yesterday. It just never existed. And now, what a terms of use is, this is what you're allowed to use this piece of software for. That's basically what this is, or in terms of Firefox, like this service, otherwise known as the browser.
Yeah, and some of those are really, really how can you police that, guys? But okay, if they want to ban those, okay.
Yep.
Because bad guys will always be listening to terms of use.
Yeah. So this has been updated, so I can't really find. So I can't look at an archive link right now because I just haven't looked. But anyways, this terms of use had some pretty agrarian terms to it, where it said that you couldn't look at porn, you couldn't look at piracy websites.
Yeah.
You couldn't pirate content using Firefox. Which, I understand, the point of that. But that also, raises issues of where it's just what if you're downloading something off of archive.org that you don't know is copyrighted?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, Mozilla sees that through the telemetry that's built into Firefox, because yes, there is telemetry built into Firefox.
And
they flag it as a terms of use violation, and then they just kill your access to the Firefox web browser. Now, which it was probably the only browser that you had on your Linux installation because you're a Linux user, and that's the default browser on the majority of distros. So now you don't have a working browser on your operating system.
Yeah. And apparently they are now okay with selling the data, or at least they are okay with not stating they are not okay with selling data.
Yeah, that's
or at least it used to be that way. It
Well,
might have changed.
They were talking about data as well. But they updated it. The new language here quite literally says, you give Mozilla the rights necessary to operate Firefox. This includes processing your data as we describe in the Firefox privacy notice. It also includes a non-exclusive, royalty-free worldwide license for the purpose of doing as you request with the content you input into Firefox. This does not give Mozilla any ownership in that content.
That's new.
Which, hey,
That's new.
That's the updated language.
That's a new, not the old new.
Yeah, that's the new. That was posted 3 p.m. yesterday.
Good, because
So
it didn't have the ownership or the to handle your use language. It was actually like literally saying we can gobble whatever data you put into Firefox in any way, shape or form and do whatever you want with it. At least that's what my read of it was.
now, the current privacy policy for Firefox does in fact talk about data. It says Mozilla collects certain data, like technical and settings data, to provide the core functionality of Firefox browser and associated services, to distinguish your device from others, and remember and respect your settings for, like, their sync tool, because you can sync your settings across different Firefox browsers.
Yep.
As well as the new tab page, PDF editing, password manager, total cookie protection. That's just for like their sync features, and they don't. Then they go into talk about like what the data is used for, but that doesn't say anything about them saying that they're allowed to sell the data. So, in fact, all it says here is just like what they're using the data for. To improve and to provide and improve search tool functionality in like the settings menu, the search bar. To serve relevant content for advertising on the Firefox new tab page, which is handled not even by Mozilla but by a third-party service. To provide Mozilla accounts, like I said, and to provide AI chatbots, because Mozilla is working on an AI chatbot, and I believe that they're working on implementing it into Firefox Nightly right now.
Oh, great! Another AI browser.
You're using Edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have
just saying.
I have to make sure I disable the every Copilot mention ever.
Yeah. To provide a review checker, including serving sponsored content. So, if you don't know what review checker is, it's a Firefox feature that's built into Firefox itself. It basically acts like an extension, but it's not an extension. It's Firefox, and what it does is it parses like internet sales web pages, like say an Amazon product page, and it scans like all the reviews and stuff just to see, and it algorithmically determines if it was posted by a human or a bot. Basically,
interesting.
Which, pretty cool.
Yep.
I don't know how much faith I have in it, but it's pretty neat. And then it also uses that data to provide and enable add-ons, because that's for like your account sync, because your Firefox add-ons also are built into the sync. And then to maintain and improve features, performance, and stability. So what telemetry data is
Supposed to be used for, and to improve security.
Okay, so understanding what unsecured settings people have enabled in Firefox. Okay. To understand how Firefox is used, so user experience design, and to market their own services.
Oh, great.
Because, Mozilla wants to make money. You know what? I'm personally fine with the way that Mozilla does their advertising. Because it's just like a little one-time pop-up every now and then, and you can just basically click to ignore it. And you can click don't show again, and it will never show again.
Yeah.
And so, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. So, I'm fine with that. And honestly, I don't mind throwing Mozilla a couple dollars every now and then. Because, Mozilla still ultimately, I think that Mozilla is trying to fight a good fight, just keeping Firefox alive. And I want them to continue to exist without having to rely off of these other companies that are super questionable in like their support of Firefox or Mozilla in general.
Well,
here's where it gets a little concerning for people. To pseudonymize, de-identify, and aggregate or anonymize data as part of the activities outlined above, such as understanding the use of Firefox and measuring our marketing, we may create pseudo-anonymous, de-identified, aggregated, or anonymized data that we use technology that is appropriate to the circumstances, including identifier removal, OHTTP, or DAP, to prevent data from being linked to you. In some cases, they may share or publish that data to facilitate research or as part of a lawful business purpose. So, to comply with, laws in like your local country.
Yes. To not like have directing that point to you. Although reality is that even de-anonymized data can still be tracked, because who in the big firms still care about IPs? Nobody.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a lot more done to de-anonymize data, and at that point a lot of the useful information is lost to anonymize the data.
Yep. So that's basically what it says about the user data nowadays, which honestly, like all of that, I don't really have much of a problem with. Contrary to like what you saw commenters talking about with like the previous changes.
Yes,
now
but that was previous changes.
Yeah, the previous change said when you upload or input information through Firefox, you hereby grant Mozilla a non-exclusive, royalty-free worldwide license to use that information to help you navigate, experience, and interact with online content as you indicate with your use with Firefox. That's what it said previously.
Yes.
So,
but I remember another complete different version as well. So there might have been actually like multiple changes done.
Yeah,
to this.
They changed this a few times
to create the most palatable version for us to take.
Yeah, so honestly, like, do I continue to use Firefox Bigpod? Like, should I just use like one of these Chromium-based browsers, like until like Mozilla makes up its mind?
I don't know. Maybe.
You don't know? Okay,
That's
because I'm not installing the Google Chrome. I don't trust Brave with like a 5-foot pole. And then because the cryptocurrency crap.
Yes.
And then Vivaldi is still like an operating system, not just a browser.
Yes.
Whenever I look at it. So I don't want to use any of those.
So I guess you're going to be using Microsoft Edge.
I don't really want to be using Edge because, then it's Microsoft. And every time I boot up Edge, I have to go through like that 20-stage fucking prompt because
you don't have to. You just first time.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want... I'm paranoid with Edge. I delete the configuration in the cache on Edge every single time I turn it off. So I have to go through that fucking startup process every gosh darn time.
So but with that, you also lose all the browsers you should actually trust, because all of those are probably to receive timely updates. But what other fork will with like random community members? Because browser is one of those things you need constant and really timely support with.
Yeah, so I don't really want to be like going with like any smaller one. So do I use just stock Chromium?
I guess.
Sure. I mean, yes, I know on Google Chromium exists, but
but it has the same problem.
It has the same problem of being downstream from Chromium. And in fact, and now I'm just using Chromium with even more headaches.
Yes.
So I think if I switch to another browser, maybe I'm just using stock Chromium, and then I gotta figure out like a notebook sync all over again, which Nextcloud can actually do that for me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at. Oh, right. I don't know if I want to use Chromium because then AdBlock and Manifest v3.
Do you use AdBlock a lot?
I actually do.
Well, I don't use it at all. I don't have an AdBlock installed.
Yeah.
I'm that kind of a person.
Well, you see, the main reason why I started using AdBlock to begin with was not because I wanted to block the advertisements. It's because I wanted to cut down on the amount of internet traffic going through my system.
Okay, yeah.
Because you got to remember the internet connection that I used to have compared to today.
Yes.
I used basically glorified dial-up, right? And,
Yes.
If I could avoid the internet traffic, I would avoid the internet traffic. So
Yeah.
I set up squid proxies. I set up DNS-based ad blocking through Pi-hole. Well, not just Pi-hole. I actually had like my own self-maintained / Etsy host list at one point when I first started doing all this. But Pi-hole just makes that so much easier nowadays.
Yeah.
And then I've also I used AdBlock as well because I don't want these websites to call like these scripts to like load these advertisements where sometimes it's going to pull in like a whole freaking video.
Yeah. I don't care about that stuff really.
Yeah. Well, at one point I did. I don't necessarily care so much nowadays, and now whenever I disable AdBlock, websites just look very different, and some of them way more unusable. Even when I pay for the subscription. So, that's what I'm looking at nowadays. And, obviously, if you have a web browser that I didn't mention that you think I should give a look at, without, it being a console-based web browser, because I don't want to use the terminal to be my web browser, to be honest with you. I have done that before. In fact, sometimes I still do that. But, maybe I just stick it out with Firefox. Who knows? So, yeah. Anyways, if you have a browser recommendation, send that to me through an email. In fact, you can send that to our general purpose email, contact@tuxbase.com. Just send it to us there. One of these days, we might even have like a proper generator like feedback form that we can go through as well. Maybe we should put that on the to-do list, Bigpod. How do we do a feedback form that people can just go to like contact.tuxbase.com and then just fill out a simple form there with like a name, an email address, and a message, and then click submit, and it sends us an email.
Yeah,
we should do that. Doesn't seem too hard. At least in my mind. Maybe I should learn some web development. That way I can figure out like if I'm even right in saying that statement. Everything's hard until you actually know what you're doing. So, you can send us an email there. You can also join our wonderful community over here on the Discord as well. I'm not willing to pay Discord to have like our own wonderful Discord link, which we could probably just set up like a DNS-based redirect or something like that.
Yeah.
Discord.tuxbase.com/discord or something like that. We could. That can also go on a project list. We'll figure out how to do that one of these days. Of course, I'll have a link for that in the description or the show notes. And you can also, if you enjoy the show and you want to support us, you can also send us a couple dollars here through our Patreon as well. Patreon.com/NoTuxAllowed. That gives you access to a pre-show that we record today that might get a little spicy.
Yeah.
It might get a little spicy.
Or a little cut up. It's also an option.
Or definitely a little cut up. It depends on like what editor Bigpod is looking at and like if he actually cares. Because at the same time, there's not many people that actually hear that.
Yep.
And I also don't know how many people actually listen to it. All I get is just if they downloaded the episode.
Yeah.
And of course, you can go to techspace.com to find all of our relevant links to like Bigpod and myself. And if you use like a Mastodon or an Activity Bus pub based service, we have these wonderful links right along here. These are our Fediverse IDs, so you can message us on what is at least my preferred social media service, because everything else is just garbage. Not that Mastodon's really much better sometimes,
Yeah.
but I generally find like the community in general is just better. So that's going to be it for the show for now. Bigpod, I know that we didn't have the guest that we mentioned last week. He had to delay because he ran it. They ran into some manufacturing issues.
Yeah. Fast moving business.
Hopefully he can join us next week, because I have questions that he might be able to answer, and we might even just get really nerdy with how to ship a product.
Yeah. And the technical details of networking, it's gonna be nerdy. Believe me, it's gonna be nerdy.
Of course. I'm looking forward to it, because I've been binging. This guy has a YouTube channel, and I've binged the entire channel twice now. So we'll see you.
See ya.